Welcome back to the Tikit demo series. In today's session, we're going to do something a little bit different than our typical Tikit demos that focus on specific features. And we're actually going to do a full Tikit demo end to end. Now, those typically are about 45 minutes-ish, but what you'll also notice is that there's chapters on this particular video. And if there's a particular topic of interest, you can travel forward or backward to those topics at your leisure. The other thing I want to highlight before we get started is kind of an overarching topic of Tikit as a service desk inside the Microsoft ecosystem. Tikit was built as a true ITSM platform that can manage all your traditional ticketing needs to include aligning with ITIL concepts such as incident management, service request management, and change management. But we were intentionally built inside of the Microsoft ecosystem to leverage and take advantage of your investment in that ecosystem. And we do that across multiple strategic integrations within the Microsoft ecosystem. The first thing to say is that Tikit is 100% native to Microsoft across all the integrations, Teams, Power Automate, Power BI, things like that. But going top to bottom, I just want to highlight the major integrations, and you'll see these throughout the demo today. So from an identity management perspective, you're not managing a separate set of users with Tikit. Everything is single sign-on with Microsoft Entra. So you'll see here as I travel through these different experiences, I'm logging in as a user, and that user has access to Tikit depending on the channel they're in. The next type of integration I like to typically highlight is our Teams integration. Is currently what you're seeing here. You're going to see a lot of this in the demo today. We also have full email integrations, and we'll see that in the demo today. That's leveraging Exchange Online. Keep traveling down through our integrations. We also have Intune integration, so the ability to bring up Intune managed device information while troubleshooting a ticket. We'll see that later on in the demo today. From an automation perspective, we have Power Automate integration, Logic Apps integration, and OpenAI. You'll see that sprinkled throughout the demo today. And last but not least, from a reporting perspective, you'll see our reporting with Power BI and Excel. And again, to summarize, the idea here is that if Microsoft does something very, very well, we're going to leverage that to enhance our ITSM platform, but also allow for you to further take advantage of your investment within the Microsoft ecosystem. Now we'll go ahead and segue into the actual demo. So Tikit is a multi-channel solution. And what we mean by that is that we have full end user and agent experiences across Microsoft Teams. We have end user and agent experiences across different web experiences. We also have end user and agent experiences in email. And what will happen is you as a business will decide which one of these experiences you want to deploy to your business. It could be one of these channels, two of these channels, or all of these channels. And when you do that, they'll become available to the end user and agents that we built this product for. You're seeing those two personas on the screen. So on the left-hand side here is Adele. She's my end user, and she's going to be asking for stuff from the business today. And on the right-hand side here is Diego. He's my agent, and he's going to be receiving those requests from the business. Now, the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to talk about a little bit about what you're seeing on Diego's side. It's going to set up for us for success when we're actually going through a lot of these demo workflows. You can see here as an agent, Diego can work in the IT team, as you would expect. So here's Tikit assigned to the IT team and the service desk group and the desktop group. He can also work on tickets assigned to other teams as well. So if Tikit was deployed to the facilities team, he could work on tickets assigned to the facilities team, the telecom team, the HR team. Now, what's happening here is we can deploy Tikit to any team inside of your business, and we can churn those teams into individual service desks where those different teams and departments can receive requests from the business and work on them across that respective team and department. Now, this gives us a couple of advantages across the service desk, Tikit service desk. The first is security. So when we deploy Tikit to a team, it turns that team into its own service desk, but also creates a partition of data. So let's say that Diego's in IT and I'm in HR. When I log into Microsoft Teams, what you'll see here is that I won't be able to even see the IT team, any tickets assigned to the IT team, because I'm not a member of that team, and that's just how Microsoft Teams security works. But I will be able to see all tickets assigned to HR and any groups available inside of the respective team and channels. The other place that this applies is inside of the web experience. So this is a secondary place an agent can work. It's the Ticket Agent Portal. We'll dive deeper into this later in the demo. But what you see here is we have this elevated concept of team assignments. And if I log in here, I'll only see tickets assigned to HR. Or if Diego logs in here, he'll only see tickets assigned to IT. And again, the idea here is that we're partitioning the data based upon the logged in user's membership to that associated team. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't cross-collaborate across these different teams, though. So there's lots of ways we can cross-collaborate, because that's going to be very typical. IT and HR are going to have to work hand-in-hand on certain business processes. A good example of that might be a new hire process. So let me go ahead and pull up an example of a new hire process from a previous demo, and we'll go through this end-to-end in today's session. But you'll see here, here's a new hire process, and this new hire process has an approval phase, an account provisioning phase, which is a bunch of delegated tasks, a hardware provisioning phase. There's also a form that was filled out to initiate this new hire process. But the thing I want to highlight here is that this ticket is assigned to finance. Actually, funny, I actually was in a previous demo. This was initially assigned to HR. I was showing how you can reassign between teams here, but it doesn't matter actually. So this ticket's assigned to finance. But you'll see here that Alex has a task here that he's responsible for. Now, if he's not a member of the finance team, that's okay, because by having some sort of responsibility on this ticket, we're letting Alex pierce through the security wall of that team assignment and give him full visibility to this particular ticket here. So in summary, the idea is that each team can work in their own respective service desk as they receive requests from the business. But if you want to cross-collaborate, you have the ability to do. That's one example of cross-collaboration. There are others that you'll see throughout the demo. But just wanted to highlight some of those things before we actually kick off the demo, as you'll see these experiences through the different demo scenarios. So what we'll do now is we'll kick off a couple of day-in-the-life scenarios. The first day-in-the-life scenario is going to walk us through our most popular feature, which is Adele bothering Diego on Microsoft Teams, Diego creating a ticket from that message, and then us traveling through Teams all the way through the resolution of that ticket. The second day-in-the-life scenario is going to be a lot more self-service. So Adele is going to work inside a ticket virtual agent. She's going to receive updates for tickets that she's created. She's going to be able to initiate business processes, things like that. And then that will have us pivot up into the web experiences for the end user and agent, and talk about email a little bit and work through some more advanced side on the agent side. So day in the life scenario number one here. Adele's walked in this morning. Her computer's running slow, and she wants to go bother someone in IT. Now, she has two ways she can do this. She could leave a post inside of a channel, if there's one where IT is triaging stuff off of channels. She can also go find someone directly and bother them. So in this example, her person that she talks to is Diego, so she'll go bother Diego here. Now, when Adele sends this message, what you'll see here, once Diego focuses in on that post, if there was a post or if there's a direct message, he can actually right-click that message, and he has the opportunity to do three things against that respective message. He could add that message to the knowledge base, make it a draft and make it available later to end users or agents. Sometimes there's content in a post or a message that you want to save, and that's very handy to do, just to drop it into the knowledge base as draft. I can add that message to an existing ticket, but in this example, we're going to go ahead and create a ticket in Ticket here. Now, when we create a ticket in Ticket, we grab information from the message. Adele's made the requester. The request title is brought over from the message. Diego has the opportunity to modify that here if you wanted to. Doesn't have to, but he can. And then he can start to set some of the properties of the ticket. So you could change the status if you wanted to. You could change the type from an incident to a service request, the category, the priority. You can also change the team assignment. So if I was in HR, I could send this to HR. If I was in facilities, I could send this to facilities, finance, so on and so forth. This team pivot you're seeing here is available in all of the create and edit ticket experiences for the agents if you're in a multi-team environment. It's also available to the end users if you decide to turn it on. And we'll see what that means once we get over to Adele's side and we talk a little bit more about the self-service experience and ticket virtual agent. Now I'm going to go ahead and create this ticket to create our first ticket in this demo. And ticket number 3885 was just created. Now, when a ticket is created within Microsoft Teams, what you're going to start to see are notifications are going to start to surface on both sides of the screen. And this is where I typically pause and talk about Ticket in Teams just for a moment. So Ticket in Teams is 100% native. There's effectively two experiences. There's the agent experience and the end user experience. We're going to focus on the agent side first, and we'll talk about the end user side. So the agent, Diego here, has two places that he can work. The first place is the teams and channels where we've deployed Ticket to. So that ticket was created, 3885. It was assigned to the IT team. It was actually assigned to the service desk group, and we're associating groups to channels. So we're dropping that ticket into the service desk channel here. And this is the first place that Diego can work on tickets inside of Teams if he wants to. The second place is the first of our two native Microsoft Teams apps, which is called the Ticket app. Now, the Ticket app is the Ticket app is personal to Diego. Anything that he's responsible for, he's going to receive updates and direct messages inside of the Ticket app. Now, this particular notification you're seeing here in Teams, this ticket was assigned to the service desk group. It's a new ticket, and he's a member of that group. So he and any other service desk group members are receiving a notification letting him know that a new ticket was assigned to that particular group. Now, Adele also received a notification, and she's receiving that notification inside of Ticket Virtual Agent. This is the second native app we have inside of Microsoft Teams. Now, these apps are just chats. They sit right next to all your other chats inside of Teams. But what we also allow for you to do is we allow you to pin those apps to the menu. And it's really popular because that makes it persistent for both agents and end users to be able to work within the respective experiences. Now, once Diego starts to, actually I should highlight it. This is the message that Adele received. So when Diego created that ticket, she received this particular message, and she'll receive other updates as this ticket travels. So once Diego starts to work on a ticket, whether he works on it in Teams or on the web, he can start to make changes to the ticket itself. So he could further modify that ticket here in Teams and change any of the properties here. But we can also perform some quick actions we have. So one of those is just taking the ticket and assigning the ticket directly to Diego. And what you're going to see here is Ticket's going to reassign that ticket to Diego. So I'm picking that up as Diego. And as I make certain changes to a ticket, on the left-hand side, what you'll see here is Adele start to receive notifications. So we just let her know that the assignee changed to Diego. And if I want to send her a message, her computer's running slow, so maybe we'll just say, please try to reboot your computer. When we send that over, we're going to send it through the ticket. We're going to have it audited by the ticket, and we're going to send a note over to Adele letting her know a new comment was added to the ticket, and she can review that. Now, when Adele starts to receive these notifications, she can also respond to these notifications. So let's say that she rebooted her computer. And I send that over. she's going to get a very similar experience to Diego. She's going to get confirmation that the comment was added to the ticket. And then because I reassign the ticket to myself, Diego, only Diego is going to receive a notification in the ticket app, letting him know that Adele added a comment to a ticket that he is responsible for. So you'll see that here. One thing I want to quickly note about some of these notifications in Ticket Virtual Agent is that these are all out of the box. These just work when you install the product, kind of like how Teams messages just work. But you can also tune these. You can turn some of them off, a lot of them off. You can also create any Teams messages you want. And I highlight that because of some of the things you've seen already, like a reassignment notification. A lot of customers like that, but a lot of customers don't. So if you want to turn that off, you have the ability to do that. Now, aside of these notifications being sent to Ticket and Ticket Virtual Agent, on Diego's side, Ticket itself is also a place where he can have a conversation and see stuff around different tickets and things he needs to work on. So I'll give some examples here. So if you were to say, show me my work as an example, this would show him a list of all the tickets assigned directly to him. If he were to type tickets, this would provide him a menu that can allow him to filter across different ways to work on tickets. See my all active, unassigned, closed. If I knew the ticket number itself, I could easily type open ticket 385, and that would open up that ticket. Just wanted to highlight other ways that Diego and Teams can travel around and grab tickets across the system. Now, Adele's let us know that the reboot worked for her computer running slow issue. So we'll go ahead and resolve this ticket. Now, I'm intentionally working on this ticket entirely in Teams. I could go up to the web and work on it there. We'll get to that later. But for this, I'll go ahead and modify this and resolve it. And what you'll see here is once we resolve this ticket, Diego will get a confirmation that the ticket's been resolved. And then on Adele's side, what you'll see is she'll be entered into a satisfaction survey workflow experience. Now, this is out of the box. We typically demo stuff that's out of the box. You can turn this off, but if you keep it on, the first thing Adele's going to be asked is, was she satisfied with the resolution of the ticket? If she says no, that will reopen the ticket. But if she says yes, that will send her a satisfaction survey. And I'll always choose something different. I'll choose positive for this demo. And that will affect the reporting metrics, which I'll show towards the end of this demo. Okay, so that's day in the life scenario, scenario number one. It summarizes probably our most popular features. How do I right-click and create a ticket from a message? Also kind of shows you how Ticket works in Teams, experiences from the different apps, how we can travel and resolve a ticket from agent to end user experiences. Now, although that's probably one of our popular features, I would say that most customers don't want to be constantly bothered by end users and have to create tickets from a message. The idea here, most customers really want the ability to self-serve and let the employees self-serve to be able to create tickets, access knowledge base articles, be able to initiate business processes. And that's what's going to happen inside of Ticket Virtual Agent. Ticket Virtual Agent is going to be that self-service experience, which is our segue into day in the life scenario number 2. So up until this point, Diego and Adele have been working across different notifications from that message, that ticket that we created from the message. But Adele is now going to self-serve inside of Ticket Virtual Agent. First thing I always like to talk about with Ticket Virtual Agent, once we get to the self-service experience, is actually about branding. So these are just apps inside of Teams Admin Center. You'll push these via setup policies. But specifically with Ticket Virtual Agent, this is an app that you can fully brand. So you can change the name, the icon, any of the words here, the short descriptions, the long descriptions. And the idea here is that you can brand it to your branding guidelines as a company. We have seen customers that have very simple rebranding, like help or support. We've seen some very creative examples that rely with internal company mascots, things like that. But the idea here is once you brand it, you'll push this to all your end users, and then everyone all of a sudden will receive Ticket Virtual Agent or whatever the renamed version is as a self-service experience in their Teams experience. Once it's deployed, there's actually a few paths that Adele can take to self-serve. So the first path is by typing the word help. So at any point, Adele can type the word help and bring back, excuse me, our help menu. Now, this help menu can be called a couple of different things. If you call it help menu, it can be called the service catalog, menu of offerings. But the idea here is you're going to construct a help experience that is instructive for your employees to understand the different things they can ask from one or multiple teams/departments. Now, we typically demo in a multi-team experience. So you'll see here, I've Tikit deployed to IT, facilities, telecom, HR, like I talked about earlier. And I've decided to construct my help menu in that same fashion. So I have different sections in my Ktomer Co., which is my fake company, service catalog here, IT, facilities, HR, finance. In each one of these sections, I have different options here. There's lots of interesting options here. I'm going to highlight some of the more popular ones. So the first one is, if I wanted to create an IT ticket, I could easily do that. And I could also create a facilities ticket. Now, these are going to look fairly similar, but there's a very important nuanced difference. That is, this one's being sent to IT, and this one's being sent to facilities. I mentioned this at the beginning of the right-click from a message, create a ticket scenario, but I've turned on multi-team, multi-department selector for my end user. So you'll see here, end user, excuse me. So you'll see here the ability for Adele to also change it if she wanted to. But the idea here is that we can send this to IT and facilities have it pre-populated and create those tickets. I can also ask any questions I want. So maybe for a software request, I need the following information filled out, or for a new hire process, I need different type of information filled out, filling out, first name, last name, job title, department, things like that. I actually didn't show the software request, like application, giving a read, and the software installation date, a new hire, the start date, things like that. The idea here is that you can ask any question, have any business form to drive any business process inside of your business. The other thing you're seeing on this help menu here is knowledge articles. So I have a few here. Now I have 40 plus knowledge articles in my system. I'm choosing not to show all of them here. There's a reason for that, and we'll talk about that in the second path that Adele can take, which is having a conversation with Tikit Virtual Agent to bring that back. But these are really kind of like more popular knowledge articles. So as an example, what is the Wi-Fi info? Or what are the business hours for facilities? Different things like that. I can put any knowledge articles I want here to give quick access to those. Now, the last few things I like to always highlight is towards the bottom here. I have a useful button just to let Adele click on it to see her open tickets. I also have an array of links. Now, what we've seen customers do is make this kind of a landing page and give different links to different internal web applications that the employees can just come here and click on. So as an example, here's my intranet link, or here's my payroll link. And this one takes me to Paylocity, just as an example here. Now, this is path one. So Adele can type help, bring back a menu, and be able to see all the options across, in this example, the different teams and departments. I also want to highlight this is very easy to edit and create. 5 minutes of training and you could build whatever help experience you want. It's super simple. Now, path two is having a conversation with Tikit Virtual Agent. So if I were to say like new ticket as an example, that would let me create a new ticket. If I were to say I need the Wi-Fi password, that would bring back the Wi-Fi info. So what's happening here is we're interpreting the intention of the request. We are passing it through our AI engine, and we're bringing back an appropriate answer. Now, not every question is going to have a one-to-one answer. So if the end user were to ask something a little bit more generic, such as, I can't log in. What's going to happen here is you're going to see that with that generic request, there's 4 potential solutions that I have inside of my knowledge. Again, I have 40 plus, and these 4 are stack ranked from most probable to least probable in terms of what would solve or initiate something around this particular request. Now, Adele here can review those, bring back a particular article, and I'll see if that helps her solve her problem. Now, the other thing that you're seeing here is that every single time I bring back a knowledge article, there's an out for the end user. You're seeing here at the bottom, we're asking, was this answer helpful, yes or no? Maybe they're traveling through here and they're not getting the answer they want. So they can say no here, and that will let them continue to travel and create that ticket. Also send it to a different team if they wanted to. But if they were to say yes, what will happen here is we'll tell the end user, awesome, glad that helped. We'll imply to them that a ticket wasn't created. You're not going to see it light up on Diego's side here, but the actual ticket was created. However, it was tagged as deflected. And this is something that you can only see inside of the ticket agent portal. So I move over here and I go to the deflected view. What you'll see here is all the tickets that were created but deflected from the visibility of my business. And the idea here is that you can trend on that data point, which is a really powerful data point to show the value and the ROI of the product. You also can tune the knowledge and try to figure out which ones are effective, not effective, and tune things up and down as you're working through the system. Now, another thing that we can do with knowledge is interact with knowledge sitting outside of tickets. So all these knowledge articles that you've seen up to this point are ticket knowledge articles. You create them inside of ticket, they respond. But sometimes customers have repositories of data that sit outside of ticket. And we have the ability to integrate with that via our Microsoft OpenAI integration. I want to show that to you a little bit and talk about it a little bit as well. So if Adele here were to come in and say, I need the latest version of the employee handbook. This is actually just a regular ticket knowledge article. It's going to bring back a link to the employee handbook. But if I were to come in here and say, what is the holiday schedule? What you'll see in this particular response is we're going to go into the employee handbook. We're going to grab the answer, and then we're going to citation reference where that answer came from and give the end user the ability to download the employee handbook if they wanted to. A different example might be, what are the health dental benefits? And this will bring back the health and dental benefits. Now, what's happening here is we have Ticket hooked up to, actually, take a step back. Every Microsoft tenant can have OpenAI spun up inside of it. It's Microsoft's version of it. And when you do that, you can point Microsoft OpenAI to a few different dedicated sources. It could be uploaded documents, it could be websites, or it could be repositories. In my example, I have a repository where I have my handbook and other documents. And every single time I add a document or change a document, OpenAI is remodeling and re-indexing that repository. Now we've pointed Ticket to that repository. So when I ask a question inside a Ticket virtual agent, if there's no ticket knowledge to answer that question, so our internal knowledge base, we're going to go to that repository, grab the answer, and see if there's an answer for it and provide it here if there is. Now, this is really popular across our customers. IT is popular, but when you start to get into HR and finance, some of these other business-related support organizations, they usually have a lot of documentation sitting in these repos, and they don't want to duplicate and manage it inside a ticket. They just want us to point directly to it. Get answers here. And something else I didn't highlight is when I say OpenAI, this is actually Microsoft OpenAI. And the experience you're seeing here is ChatGPT. So these responses are ChatGPT surfacing inside of Ticket Virtual Agent. Now, what we're going to do next here is we're actually going to kick off some business processes that we've touched a little bit on the help menu, like software requests and new hire. We're actually going to create those and start to work on those tickets across the agent side now, and float through a couple more end user experiences. So the first one is I need Adobe Photoshop. Now, as a reminder, I could have went up to the help menu, clicked on software request, and initiated this form. I can also have a conversation to say, I need Adobe Photoshop. Now, we know this is a request for software, so we're going to provide our service request form for the software request. Photoshop. Now, when we submit this request, this ticket is going to be a little bit different than any of the tickets that we worked on so far. So the first thing you're going to notice is that this ticket is going to be assigned to the desktop group. Because in my business, all software requests are managed by the desktop group. You're also going to see here that we've matured the properties of the ticket. So we've categorized it as software, it's a service request. We've captured the questions and answers from the form Adele filled out on the ticket. Now it's traveling with the ticket. The second thing that's happening here is we're sitting on top of what we call a lifecycle. Now, lifecycles are workflows that allow for you to introduce phases of work to manage a business process. So my software request happens to be two phases, an approval phase and a go deploy software phase. So what you're seeing here is we're currently in the approval phase. And while I was chit-chatting there, Adele received an awareness that in order to move her software request forward, either Diego or Alex needs to approve her software. Now, while I was talking as well, Diego received a notification in Ticket Virtual Agent. And that notification was an approval request for that software request. Quick sidebar around approvals. So approvals can go to any end user in the business. It does not require a license from us. The idea here is that end users can, outside of a business process, maybe stakeholders or managers or directors can approve things and move internal business process forward. These approvals will also go to end users in Teams. They'll see it inside of their end user portal. They'll also receive an email if you have that set up. Now, wherever Diego decides to action this approval, let's say I do it in Teams, what will happen is he will receive notification that this has been approved. And then Adele will also receive a notification that this has been approved. And we're going to move this process forward to phase 2. Now, phase 2 is the go deploy software phase for this ticket. And what you're going to see here is Diego will be sent a notification in the ticket app letting him know that he needs to deploy software. Now, just to containerize the demo, I made Diego the approver and deployer of software. And what we'll see here in just a few moments here, that notification will be sent out to the ticket app letting him know that he needs to go deploy software. Now, I can action that here if I wanted to. I'm actually going to wait until I get out to the ticket agent portal so you can see how it feels to work on a ticket there inside of this type of workflow. And what we'll do now is we'll go actually kick off a few more tickets on Adele's side so we can also see those travel inside of the web experience. So the next one I want to highlight is I need to move my office. This is a move ad change for facilities. In my business, facilities manages all of the move ad changes for office moves. And what we'll see here is when I fill this out, this will be sent over to facilities. Now, the other thing I really like to highlight here is just kind of a different feel you get from these forms here. And as this is being created, the other thing I want to mention is that these forms are really simple to create. I'm going to say this quite a few times, but 5 minutes of training and you can build any form you want and be able to present that inside of Teams, web, or email very easily to manage a business process. So ticket 3888 was just created, and that's going to be sent over to my facilities team. Now, the next one I want to highlight is a little bit more of an advanced workflow. I need to onboard an employee. This is a new hire process in my business. Now, as I said, this is a little more of an advanced experience here. So I'm going to kind of highlight some things that are happening as we're working through this onboarding experience. So the first is I'll go ahead and fill out information here. Now, as you remember from the beginning of the demo, and actually what I'll do is I'll bring it up here. My new hire process has a few phases in my business. There's an approval phase, an account provisioning phase, and a hardware provisioning phase. Now, every employee in my business gets a payroll account and an HR account. But if I choose a particular department, we're going to dynamically shift this account provisioning phase to accommodate any additional accounts this employee needs when they come on board. So in this example, I'll choose operations, and that will dynamically add some tasks to the account provisioning phase to be able to ensure the appropriate accounts are set up for when Michelle Sean gets hired here. I'll continue to travel down here and select mobile phone. And when I do that, every employee in my business gets a laptop or a desktop, so set up computer. But if I choose mobile phone, we're going to dynamically add the setup cell phone task to the hardware provisioning phase because this particular process needs that. Now, when I submit this, this ticket will be sent over to HR. As I mentioned earlier, all new hire processes are managed by the HR team. And same thing you kind of saw with software request, assigned to HR. We mature the properties of the ticket. It's category onboarding. I made a priority highs, type request, capture the questions and answers here, sitting aside this form here. The secondary thing that I like to highlight though is that this is also sitting on top of that life cycle, as you saw. And we have IT, we have facilities, we have HR. They're all working in concert to bring on this new employee here. Now, phase one of this new hire process happens to also be an approval phase. This approval is a little bit different than the software request phase approval. The software request approval was predefined, meaning every software request has to get approved by Alex or Diego. In this process, the approval in the approval phase is dynamic. And what we're doing here is we're sending the approval to the employee's manager. Now, again, to containerize the demo, I made Diego Adele's manager. So you'll see here that Adele was sent over a note letting her know that approval needs to be actioned by your manager, Diego here, to move this forward. And again, while I was talking there, Diego received another approval request for that new hire process. Now, when I approve this will move this forward to phase two. And that phase two there will be the account provisioning phase. Now, this is where I typically start to jump away from Teams and move a little bit into the web experiences. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the end user side, just to kind of round out how, Adele could create tickets across web experiences as well as mail experiences. And then we'll jump over to the agent portal to work on some of these tickets and play around there. And then we'll finish up with some reporting. So up to this point, Adele's been working on tickets, creating tickets, receiving updates for tickets inside of Ticket Virtual Agent. She also has two other channels she can work on if she wanted to. The first is the web experience. So this is the ticket help portal, request portal, This is the place where Adele can see all of her open tickets, any open approvals. She also can review anything closed across tickets and approvals as well. This experience also allows for her to create tickets. So just like in Ticket Virtual Agent, this is conversational. So if I say, I need Adobe Photoshop as an example, we're going to search our knowledge experience and see if there's a particular knowledge base article or form. Here's that form. If I were to say the Wi-Fi password as a different example, that would bring back the Wi-Fi password. If I were to say our printer is broken, that would say we don't have any information for that topic because I don't have a knowledge article that solves printer issues. I was going to ask you which team you want to send that to. It's an IT issue, and if I submit that out, I will create the ticket there. Now, this experience, let me just make this big so you can see it in total. This experience here is also available inside of Teams. So if I go to Ticket Virtual Agent and click on the Request tab, what you'll see here is the same experience. So if you wanted your end users to live in Teams and not make the request portal something aware to them and visible to them, you can keep them inside of Teams and have access to it here if you wanted to. The other experience that an end user other channel that an end user can interact with is email. So a couple of things I'd like to highlight here. The first is, you notice here as I've been creating tickets, Adele has been receiving emails for the tickets we've created. Now, you can choose to turn on these notifications for email. You can turn them off. This is just for demo purposes. But the other thing you also see here is as I'm creating tickets for a particular team, the communication coming from that ticket associated with that team is from that team's mailbox. The idea there is that you can keep that partition of data consistent across each of those teams. When I think about HR and I think about finance, there's typically a lot of sensitive data in there, and mail from the mailbox keeps it containerized to the HR finance team, things like that. Now, if Adele wanted to create a ticket, she could do so easily. So she could send an email into IT here. Oh, button, I just click send. That'll create a ticket. We also do something a little bit unique here. So if I were to say, I need the Wi-Fi password, or if I were to say, I need Adobe Photoshop, what we're going to do here is we're going to scan the entire subject and body of the email. If our knowledge experience has an answer or has a form to be filled out based upon what's being asked of it, we're going to respond in kind. So here is the IT ticket, and this is something where she can see her open ticket number. She can respond here via email. It'll update the ticket. Here's the Wi-Fi password information. You'll see whether this answer helpful, yes or no. She says no, that will create a ticket. And then last, we need you to fill out a form to be able to facilitate that process, and that will bring up a form for her to fill out. Last thing I want to highlight about email here is that each team, as I mentioned earlier, can have its own mailbox. So if I want to send an email to HR, or I want to send one to facilities, just like you saw in IT, that will create a ticket and assign it to that respective team. All right, what we'll do now is we'll jump over to the Diego's experience in the web side, and we'll work on tickets a little bit there so you can kind of get a compare and contrast between what you've seen for Diego and Teams and the web. So this is the ticket agent portal. This is a complementary place where Diego can work on tickets next to the Teams experience. This is the same data that you're seeing in Teams. We just control all of the real estate. So we're going to be able to present things in a little bit of a different way. A couple of anchor points here. Diego can create a new ticket here in the ticket agent portal. He can also change the views of how he's seeing the data presented to him. So what you'll see here is currently we're on all active. If I want to see all my work, I can shift over to that view. If I want to see all my unassigned tickets, I can do that. In the ticket agent portal, I can also create custom views. So if I wanted to see all of my new hire processes currently in flight, are all of my tickets in a certain location, things like that, I have the ability to pivot between those respective views. Now we've created quite a few set of tickets in today's demo. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to go through and just walk through troubleshooting a few of them. So I'll just pick on a random incident here. We'll do 3894 as an example here. Now this is basic incident management, managing a ticket, troubleshooting a hardware issue or a software issue. Couple of things I want to highlight around editing a ticket in the agent portal, then we'll actually work on this ticket. So on the left-hand side here is a list of tickets that I can bounce between. I can also change my view here, so if I wanted to see anything directly assigned to me. And it's a nice way to pivot without having to leave this window. This is a preview of the data, just a quick snapshot. I can also change the properties of the ticket here as well. I'll get to that in a moment. And also I can have a conversation with Adele here by adding comments in the agent portal. So if I were to say something like, we are working on this, and send this over, a couple of things will happen. One, that will update the activity stream here. This activity stream is the audit trail, so anything that happens to this ticket will be adjusted here and reflected here, property changes and things like that. But also, what you'll see here is Adele in Teams received a new comment was added, and she can respond and update the ticket. And the other thing that I'm highlighting here is that whether an end user updates the ticket in Teams, web, or email, the agents will receive those respective updates. And then if the agents update a comment in Teams, web, or email, it will send over back to the end user here. Now, in the comments area, in the message area, I can also message other agents to loop them in. So an example of that might be, I need Alex's help. Now, the idea here is that we can either ping other agents or we can collaborate with other agents. And I'm going to highlight a couple of things around how we would do that here. So let's say that I need Alex's help in this particular example. I don't know if I mentioned this, but you can message multiple agents if you needed more agents' help as well. Now, I could send this to Alex, but if I did that, Adele would be made aware that I'm asking for Alex's help. But I didn't want Adele to be aware for some reason. I just wanted to ping Alex in the background. I could also add what's called an internal note. Now, an internal note is private, so only Alex will see this message, and Adele as a requester will not see it. Now, Alex in Teams will receive an app message. He'll get context to the ticket. He can work on it there. You can click view ticket to bring it up in the web, things like that. This is one way to message another agent to collaborate with him. Another way to do it, just to kind of continue that thread of thought, is in the properties area. I mentioned this kind of at the beginning of the demo, but there's lots of ways to collaborate with other agents. One of them is via our collaboration feature. So let's just say that this ticket was assigned to Diego, but I needed Alex's help. Maybe I also needed someone else's help, John's help as an example. If I did need all their help, I can make them collaborators. And what happens is Alex and John will now inherit the lens of the assignee, so in this case, Diego. And any messages sent by end users will be received by all three of those now assigned agents to that ticket. And all three have the ability to receive that, respond in context, and Adele, in this particular example, would receive that message there. Now, this kind of multi-assignment functionality exists for assignees. It also exists for end users as well. So you'll notice here at the top, Adele's made a requester. But if I needed other end users to be aware of this ticket, I can also add them as affected users. So it's a complementary side to collaboration. So let's say for some reason Grady and Henrietta also needed to be aware of this. They'll receive all the updates for this ticket. They'll be able to have full visibility in Teams and web, can respond to comments, things like that. Again, the idea here is that we can have multiple requesters or multiple assignees. The last thing here in terms of troubleshooting, I'll change a property, so just kind of demonstrate how easy that is. I'll change the ticket status to pending. Now when we save this, that will affect a bunch of parts of the ticket here. Grady and Henrietta will be made aware that they're affected users. Alex and John will also be made aware that they're collaborators, and we can move forward with troubleshooting this ticket. Now, before we move on from troubleshooting this ticket, I also want to highlight here our Intune integration. So if you have Intune deployed in your environment and you're managing devices, you have the opportunity while you're troubleshooting a ticket to interact with Intune live with Tikit. Now there's two ways to bring up the experience. I could be in the users area and I could go pick a user to go interact with Intune or look at any of their metadata from Entra, things like that. But I also could be troubleshooting that ticket. So here's ticket 3894, go back to it. And let's say that I wanted to bring up Intune for Adele's devices. What I do here is I click on her name, and this is all her Entra information coming from Entra. But if I click on link devices, what you'll see here is what's happening is kind of a couple of things. The first is if you have Intune enabled with Tikit, and if Diego, who's logged into the web portal, has access to Intune and can read inventory, so this is all set up by the Intune administrator, then he will be able to see this inventory of her devices. Now, if she had multiple devices, you see all of them, you see all her unenrolled devices, and this is just a summary of inventory that we provide to the agents to be able to get some good troubleshooting information around her devices. Now this is live, so if, let's say Adele got a new machine for some reason, 2 seconds later, 2 minutes later, and you go to her name again or you click update, it will show that live data in the adjustments in Intune. We also provide the ability to perform actions against those devices. So retire, wipe, reboot, and open the device in Intune. These actions are all ACLed, meaning the Intune admin will allow people to do these things. And if Diego, who's logged in, has the ability to do any of these, he will see those actions. If he doesn't, he won't see these actions. And then the deep link into Intune is just that, just opening up Intune and bringing up her device there. Nice easy jump into Intune there. Okay, let's move on to a couple of other tickets that we created. So we did create a software request. So I'll bring that one up here next. Now this software request has a couple of phases. There's the add approval phase, and then the deploy software phase. Here's the form that was filled out. Now, we already completed the approval. Diego approved this, so we're now in the deploy software phase. Let's say that I deploy the software. I could have completed this task in Teams, as you saw earlier in the demo. What I want to do here is I wanted to show you how it feels inside of the web experience. So I'll just come in here and complete this. Now, this is the last task in this particular ticket. So what happens is, because it's the last task and it was successfully completed, we'll auto resolve this ticket and then make all of the end users and agents aware that this has been resolved and whatever notification you have set up for this as well. The other ticket that we created, we'll create a few more. So another one was a move office ticket. Now, again, this ticket was created and assigned to facilities, so only the facilities team would see this. And the other thing I want to highlight really here is this ticket only asks for us to fill out a form. But you'll see here it doesn't have a life cycle. And the thing I'm really highlighting here is that the system is very adjustable. So if you have incidents, service requests, changes, tickets that need just forms filled out to move business process forward, great. If you need it with form and life cycles, great. If you need life cycles, that's great as well. We have the ability to be very flexible here. And the idea here is that you can build any business process to wrap around each department's unique requirements. And then the last one that we created was that new hire process. So I'll go back here to that new hire. And we talked about this quite a bit, right? At the beginning of the demo, and also actually creating this new hire and walking through some things here. But just to recap, we have 3 phases here: an approval phase, an account provisioning phase, and a hardware provisioning phase. We've already approved this. This was Intel's manager coming out of Microsoft Entra. We dynamically added this when we submitted this. We're currently in our account provisioning phase. Now, I chose operations as a department. So on top of the payroll and HR account, we dynamically added some tasks here. Set up operations account, set up our ERP account. But you're noticing that there's 5 tasks here, and all 5 of these tasks have to be completed before we move to the hardware provisioning phase. Now, Diego here can go and select a task here and complete that when he wants to. And we'll wait for Diego to complete the other one, for Alex to complete his. But there's one task here that is already successfully completed, and that's our Power Automate task. And this is our ability to integrate Tikit into Power Automate. So Tikit has a full connector library in Power Automate, and there's full videos on this in the demo series. But just to kind of highlight this and summarize, so Tikit has a full connector inside of Power Automate, and that library allows for us to interact with anything external of Tikit. It also gives us the opportunity to automate repetitive tasks and bring those automations into the flow of creating your life cycles. So this example is a new hire process. So I want to go use our Power Automate connector to create the user's Entra account, create their mailbox, add them to the appropriate groups and teams, and then if successfully done, come back here and mark it as successful. This can get very limitless very quickly. So other examples, in a termination process, disabling a user's account, removing their access from groups and teams, forwarding their email address to a manager maybe. Another example might be you have a lot of team requests inside of Microsoft Teams. Maybe that goes through an approval process, and once done, a team is created. Maybe you have Azure Monitor with a bunch of events happening, and you want to create incidents and events inside of Tikit. Maybe you want to integrate with Task by Planner, things like that. Maybe you have a payroll system external of anything Microsoft's aware of, and you want to initiate the new hire process there. And then once done, kick off a ticket with a life cycle inside a Tikit after HR does their thing inside of their HR system. The Tikit connector, that because it's in Power Automate, really becomes limitless, and you can integrate into anything outside of Tikit with that connector. Now, coming back to this particular flow here, once this account provisioning phase is done, we'll move to the hardware provisioning phase. And just as a reminder, we selected mobile phones, so we dynamically added a setup cell phone task here to this particular phase. All right, so that walked us through a few of our tickets there. And what I want to now do is shift to the last part of the demo, which is going to be reporting. So there's 4 ways to report with Tikit. There's 2 inside of the web agent portal, and then there's 2 leveraging Microsoft technologies, which are Power BI and Excel. And I'm going to show you all 4 here. So the first is whenever you're in the agent portal and you're on a particular view, it doesn't matter which view you're on, there's always going to be an export to CSV button. And if you wanted to data dump and just export all of that view's data into Excel, you could do that. It's a little bit brute force, but sometimes you need just a data dump and you have that available to you. The second way that you can report inside the agent portal is on the reports area. So this is a KPI dashboard. It's not editable, but it is really good data. So this allows for you to slice these KPIs by time and see really good metrics here. Now, if you did want to create your own dashboards or create your own reports, you would use the two other ways we report, which is via Power BI or Excel. And I'll go ahead and navigate over to those now. So we provide a really rich out-of-the-box Power BI experience. That Power BI experience is delivered via Power BI template. And this is the out-of-the-box experience. There's over 20 plus reports here that lets you slice data by category, team, group, assignee, KPIs across resolutions that are very similar, tickets created by month, survey responses by type. This experience is dynamic as well. So as you shift through things, you can highlight certain data points. We also have out-of-the-box reports for SLAs, for life cycles, for change management, things like that. Now, if you're happy with this out-of-the-box experience, great. If you're not and you want to edit it, in either way, you would bring this into Power BI Desktop. You would adjust it if you want to. And if you wanted to create your own reports or create your own tabs of data or your own dashboards, it's really simple because in Power BI Desktop, we've created the entire view structure. We're not doing anything special here. We're just dragging and dropping what we think is a really good starting point for our customers. And you would just drag and drop the views that you want. You would edit the filters, and then you would publish it into Power BI Workspace online and then make it available however you want. I've chosen to make mine available inside of Microsoft Teams. You don't have to do that, but that's just the way I've approached it because I think it's a nice experience to give each team a set of dashboards that's easily accessible. The last way to report is probably my favorite way to report, and that's via our our live data feed into Excel. So this is just a spreadsheet. And what's great about this is that you can have spreadsheets that are tuned for the persona's need of that spreadsheet. So as an example, you can have a spreadsheet with that's directed for the director of IT, which has data sent for formulated for the director of IT, the facilities manager, the finance agent, the service desk manager. Everyone's spreadsheet can have wholly different data. My spreadsheet happens to have tabs of data that show me tickets, software requests, approvals of tasks, but maybe the finance person only has finance tickets and the director of IT only has visibility to all the tickets, things like that. We all open it off of our desktops. We come over to the data area here. We select refresh. And what happens here is all the tabs of data will start to refresh. And all the tickets that we've created in today's demo will start to populate here at the bottom, so no scrolling, of the spreadsheet. And then you can use Excel like you normally would. And what's great about this is that most people knows how to use Excel. So the learning curve of adoption is really low. I can filter how I want. Let's see my active tickets, maybe sliced by a group. And you can continue to slice it if you want to. And I can put bar charts and pie charts on here. But the other great thing about this is that it reduces probably one of the more complex requests of any system, irrespective of a service desk, which is, can I have a report built for that? You can kind of minimize that request because you're going to give the people that need access to data a spreadsheet with all the latest data they have at their fingertips, and they can slice and dice all day long. Admittedly, it's not as pretty maybe as Power BI, but it's very effective, and our customers seem to really love it because of the scaling it provides across their business from the reporting perspective. This is where we're going to end the demo today. Again, we wanted to put this together to provide an end-to-end demo that we would typically give to someone interested in looking at Tikit. We really hope you enjoyed the session. And if you ever do have any questions, please email team@tikit.ai.